Hi, can I help you? Hey buds, how's it going? I am MC and today we are doing a little sketchbook tour. I thought that because this was my first video that a sketchbook tour would be the perfect way to introduce myself, my art, and give a little preview of what I have planned for this channel. Today I'm going to be going through spreads 1 through 10 of this sketchbook. It is a 5.5 by 8 premium black sketchbook from Peter Popper Press. Even though it's more of a partial sketchbook tour because I've been working on it for a while, I think there is still quite a bit to talk about even just in the first 10 spreads. So yeah, let's get into it. So this is my sketchbook. I couldn't exactly figure out when I started drawing in it. The best I could do was figure out that it was probably somewhere around May or April of 2023. So I've been working in it for a little over a year now. It's pretty well traveled and the binding is kind of falling apart, so I've got it held together with some hockey tape. So I worked on this first spread throughout Pride Month of 2023, and when I started this sketchbook, I didn't start in the first spread. I actually ended up jumping around quite a bit. So looking back, it's actually a little bit of a happy accident that everything in it starts off a little bit queer. So this first drawing I did was a figure study of the Antinuous, which was a statue that the Emperor Hadrian had commissioned of his basically boyfriend Antinuous after he died. Hadrian was apparently so devastated by the loss of Antinuous that he had over 1,000 statues carved of him posthumously. So I added the quote here, "Of course the love is there, still, still, still," which is from a self-portrait in letters by Anne Sexton. This is actually a quote that I came across on Tumblr, but I thought that the repetition of the word still did a really good job of kind of showing how unending the feeling of heartbreak or heartache can be. And that's kind of what I think of when I think about Hadrian and how much he loved Antinuous, that he was just so desperate to be in his presence again that he had all of these statues carved of him. In this statue, he was modeled after the wine god Dionysus, and I just had a little bit of fun adding the kiss mark to his cheek. This might be a story from antiquity that my gay brain has romanticized a little bit, but I just really love the idea of Hadrian and Antinuous. This is a traffic pole that I kind of made up to show the intersection of Church and Wellesley Street in Toronto, which is the main intersection of our village. And then I did a portrait down here of Leandra from the Beaches, which is definitely my favorite band, and lyrics to their song Blame Brett. I also added over here just the Instagram handle of the photographer who took the picture. Spread number 2 is a little bit all over the place. So over here, this is just kind of my take on a drawing of the phases of the moon. I tried to make it look like the stroke of a paintbrush painting the night sky, and then drew these kind of asteroid-looking moons over top, but I like them. I think they're kind of cute. I did this drawing based off of a picture that I took at a concert. I went and saw Feist play at History for her Multitudes tour in May of 2023, and she came out on stage wearing these like brown sandal heel wedge things with bright teal socks. And I thought it was very Feist and I loved it. So I knew that I wanted to draw it pretty much right away and made sure to get a good enough reference picture to do it. So I drew this kind of concert flyer thing with lyrics to her song Hiding Out in the Open. And I'm pretty happy with the folded paper texture that I was able to draw here. Above it is lyrics to her song Love Who We're Meant To, and I'm not really sure what I was doing with the heart. I don't really love it, but it's there. And I actually wanted to fill in this little square here, but I couldn't think of something that I wanted to draw that was small enough, so I just left it blank for now. If you have any good ideas for something I could draw in like a 1x1 square, you should leave it in the comments below and maybe I'll draw it. Here is an original character that I designed. I don't think she's got a name yet, and she's also supposed to have tattoos that I haven't fully figured out. So I do have to come back and finish this drawing at some point. But the idea for her basically was if there was a lesbian that played bass like Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers. The bass she plays is a Fender Jaguar bass. And I really like her. I'm happy with her design, and I hope I do more with this character in the future. And this is a still from Almost Famous, which is probably my favorite movie. It's the part where Russell and William go to a regular house party. Russell takes acid and climbs on top of the roof and gives all the kids there kind of a psychedelic sermon. So the line from the movie is when he shouts, "I am a golden god." So I thought it was kind of the perfect opportunity to add some gold leaf to the page, but I hadn't worked with it in a while and I kind of rushed the process. So I damaged the page quite a bit. So the glue didn't really set and the gold leaf came off in patches in places. I damaged the page over here. But with Photoshop, I was able to edit it and make it look the way that it should without all the imperfections. So that's on my Instagram if you want to see it. And even though I screwed it up a little bit, I'm still really glad that I added the gold leaf, because looking back on it, this spread I think would be a little bit bland and boring if I just left it white. I'm not too sure that YouTube is gonna like this word very much, but just a word that I like and identify with, and honestly I think is kind of funny. So I drew it like it was taped into the page, and then beneath it, actually taped into the page, is just a drawing of an anglerfish with a real bulb as its light. And then this is a cat skull that I drew with the red Prismacolor Coal Erase pencils. I'd really like to do more drawings that are all in red, but I just kind of haven't gotten the courage to do it yet. And over here is a portrait that I did of Morgan Riley from the Toronto Maple Leafs, which is unfortunately my favorite hockey team. I'm pretty sure this is from the 2023 playoff series against the Tampa Bay Lightning. There was like a line brawl and he ended up getting his nose broken in it. But I thought he looked really cool in this picture, so I exaggerated the blood a little bit and drew him. Another figure study, this time of Michelangelo's David, and I drew in some tape to censor the statue a little bit. But I was really just thinking about what a good idea it would be for a guy to get the name Goliath as a tramp stamp, so I gave the David a Goliath tramp stamp. In Toronto, there's a radio station called The Edge, and I was going back and rewatching their Sugar Beach sessions with the band July Talk. One of the things that I love a lot about July Talk that you don't get from their recorded albums is the onstage chemistry between the singers Peter and Leah. And while I was going back and rewatching all the songs from this set, I thought they did a really great job of showcasing that chemistry that they have. So I wanted to draw a still from one of the videos. So I picked the song My Neck, and up here I just drew in some of the lyrics, and then I was playing with kind of a tattoo design for a noose. When I started this spread, I was mainly wanting to focus on practicing drawing landscapes and scenery. I don't know if a grungy bedroom really counts as either of those things, but I spend a lot of my time drawing figures, and landscapes are something I'd really like to start adding to a lot of my future drawings. So while I was drawing it, I was kind of thinking about when people say life goes on, and kind of how it's a veiled optimistic statement. Like nobody really says life goes on when they're excited about life going on. It's kind of more something people say when life going on is the only option. So maybe it was a little bit of an excuse for my laziness, but I thought not rendering the outside of the window kind of fit with that, where maybe you don't really know what's coming or you don't really know what you're looking forward to. Up here is a little floating head of Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers. In this picture, his shirt said funk, and I thought that the way the fabric warped would make a really interesting way to draw the letters into the picture. So I censored it with his chin a little bit and added some splatter, and yeah. And then a drawing of an old flip phone with one new message from Not Who You Hoped. With this one, I was just kind of thinking about when you're phone watching and really excited to hear from one specific person. Your phone goes off and you get your hopes up, but then when you check it, it wasn't from them, and you get a little grumpy and disheartened. This is another original character that I designed, and I'm also realizing just now that it is the second person in this sketchbook tour that I've drawn with a broken nose. I really like this character. I don't think she has a name either, but the inspiration behind her was her getting into a fight and getting her tooth chipped and her nose broken, and those kind of end up being her distinctive facial features. But yeah, so she's got the joint resting in the crack in her teeth, and then I just added the quote, "You should see the other guy," just for fun. The pizza slices I drew in the middle here were actually inspired by the episode of Dairy Girls where they get banned from the fish and chip shop. And when they're asking what they should eat from now on, it's suggested that they just go get a pizza. And Orla's response to that is, "Pizza's not as nice." So I originally drew the sad pizza face in a sketchbook I have that's just kind of for scribbling down ideas. But I ended up really liking it. So I got the idea to draw a happy pizza slice as well and kind of mirror them like comedy and tragedy masks. This is just a text that I sent after I had Taco Bell for dinner one night, and I thought it was kind of silly and I was bored, so I just drew it into my sketchbook. And then a Nike up-tempo sneaker down here, which are my favorite type of Nike sneakers. I didn't plan at all for this next spread to be entirely food and drink related, but it was just kind of another happy accident that came in this sketchbook. Up here is a love potion in a juice box. I really love the concept of this drawing, but I don't think I had the space to give it the effort that it deserves. So eventually I think I want to do it a little bit bigger and add some more detail, probably take out the Cupid's arrow entirely, but I think there is a really good start to an idea here, and I'd like to do it better in the future. And then down here is a still of Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman. I think Batman Returns is probably my favorite Batman movie just because of Michelle Pfeiffer. I think she's the best Catwoman, and I don't know if it's possible for anybody to ever play the part better than she did. And I think Warner Brothers just really made a big mistake by not making a Catwoman sequel right after Batman Returns came out. And then on this page, we've got a grilled cheese sandwich and one jelly donut. This drawing up here, I am very confident and maybe a little bit cocky about how good the grilled cheese sandwiches I make are. So that's kind of what inspired that little doodle. And then down here, I was just rewatching Wayne's World and I wanted to draw a scene from it. And for some reason, picked the one where he's drinking a jelly donut through a straw. But yeah. Over here, I was just trying to practice drawing some numbers. You probably noticed by now that every page in this sketchbook tour has letters or font design of some kind, and that's one of my favorite things to do, but I never really end up drawing numbers, so I was just kind of giving it a shot. And I picked 1907 because it's one of the years associated with Gustav Klimt working on The Kiss, which is one of my favorite paintings. And then next is another doodle inspired by some more Canadian music, this time by the band Metric. I was just kind of going through a phase where I was listening to their song Combat Baby over and over again, and I thought that some beat up vintage boxing gloves would be a really fun drawing to go with the lyrics. And then down here is a little bit more practice, this time of some ornament. I drew one side of this drawing, traced it, and then with some charcoal, I transferred that side of the drawing over to the other side and got it pretty much symmetrical, I think. And over on this page, I was mainly focused on practicing drawing a carnival circus type font. I do these drawings of clowns that I call fools. And right before I was getting ready to start the first of those drawings, Harry Styles released the music video for his song Daylight, which was obviously a really cute, like, circus-themed music video. And because I liked it so much, I wanted to take the opportunity to draw a still from it and also practice the font that I wanted to use in the future. And this is the font that I've used for all of those drawings ever since. And the last spread for this sketchbook tour. It just starts up here with some lyrics to the song Los Ageless by St. Vincent. I think this song was just stuck in my head and I needed something to fill in this space, and the lyrics kind of went with what I had already drawn in this spread, so I went with it and drew it in there. And underneath it is just a drawing of a vulture tearing apart a heart. I really hate drawing birds. I find that the time and energy that it takes to do the detail and all the feathers is just excruciating. But I've drawn a couple, and I find that when you actually put in that time, that it ends up looking really cool and is worth it. So I'll probably, unfortunately, end up suffering through that process again. And over here is a still from Allie Hills' music video for her song Energy. I really like the dark and glitchy vibes of the video, and I thought it would be interesting to do a drawing that kind of went from dark to light. And I had never drawn a digital font before, so I was kind of messing around with that as well. And for the last drawing, this guy is inspired by the fools that I mentioned in the last spread. They're just kind of Rococo Venetian inspired clowns. And I drew one of them as a Jack-in-the-Box, so I've also got his hat flying across the page. And that does it for the partial sketchbook tour. This was really hard. I think I underestimated how difficult it would be to just kind of talk to myself for 40 minutes. But I'm really excited for all the ideas I have for this channel, and I hope you enjoyed it enough that you want to stick around, subscribe, and see what comes next. But yeah, that's it for me. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Take care, and you'll see me in the next one. No, was that a bird? Did you hear a bird?